Welcome, one and all, back to the No Tact Talk podcast. How's it going? What's up, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm living my best life. I have an announcement to start off with. It's a good episode, full of announcements, full of happy conversations. We're gonna announce Mr. Joe here in a second, even though I just said his name. I got a puppy. Okay, I'm gonna insert some applause right here. I got a puppy. He's a he's a standard poodle, apricot. You've probably seen him on the social medias already, but I'm officially making him a No Tact Talk puppy. So if you hear barking or me saying no off the mic, that is exactly why. Because mom is upstairs studying to be a doctor, and I have to babysit while he looks at me. So he's playing with his toys, so he's doing pretty well. He just ate, took a good dump. He's just chilling. Being a dog. So he's still super young. So hey, all my dog lovers out there, you can go follow him on Instagram at Titan the Poodle. His name is Titan. Anyway, like I said, welcome back to No Tact Talk podcast, where the only rule here is to have no tact. I have a very special guest today, per usual. But this one, I'm looking forward to all my podcasts. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, man, I can't wait. Because I don't think we ever got to really, sit down and, chop it up for real. Like, we always in the same spaces.
2020.
Yeah,
COVID.
So by the time we, that's Joe, we never really got to, go out and, do life, right? So it was, and we've been, what's the third reschedule? I think this was?
Third.
We're so busy. So like you said, between
Good
work.
busy.
Good busy, right? Yeah. Between work and everything else, we just been kind of going in. But thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
Not only because you're cool, because you got stuff to say. Ever since I even heard about you, right? You've been like that proactive kind of high energy Energizer Bunny type guy, and I love it because I'm like that. And usually, that type of personality is like the only one in the room. So it's nice to see somebody else just being, I'll do it. Let's go. I'm good for it.
Yep.
And so anyway, how's it going?
It's going, man. Gosh, like you said, man, super busy.
Yeah.
Been really busy. I am exactly what he said. I've literally been described as an Energizer Bunny
nice.
So many times, bro. It's because I'm just always, anything that I can tap into, man.
Where does that come from, though?
Honestly, man, it's got to be just from since I've been young, man. I've always just been, I'm very glass half full.
Okay.
To where I think when my outlook on life is extremely positive and trusting and loving, and I think the energy I think it just comes from it. Being that level.
People have told me we get the positivity part, but you got to be realistic sometimes. And so we were just doing this training at work yesterday. It's called Master Resiliency Training, MRT, right? And so it's oh my goodness, my life, sucks. Lost my job, lost my wife, kids. And then it's a little term. Okay, I understand that you lost all of this stuff, but you're alive.
Yeah.
But it's
right.
Not everybody wants to think like that.
It's flip the script, and it's funny you say that, dude, because Maria, girlfriend, soon-to-be wife.
Hey.
So she has literally at points in time called me a happiness bully because she's look, sometimes I just need to.
My wife has
I just
told me
need to
the
be
same
like this.
thing.
She's like, I don't need all your happiness.
Yeah, well, she'll say, I don't want you to fix everything. I don't want you always to be so positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had to learn super early. I was like, okay, cool. Just let her talk. Let her get it out because we're an anomaly, I figure.
Well, and listen, because I think ultimately when, my whole rule is listen to understand and to perceive.
And not to respond.
And not to respond, man. Because when you're quick to respond with high energy, positivity, whatever it is, exactly what you just said. It's stop trying to fix everything.
Yeah.
You ain't my coach. It's
true.
okay, I just need to shut my mouth.
Well, ultimately, that's the end goal, but it's kind of allowing people to process. So when we're talking about, the racism that was happening when the brotherhood meeting, I remember that was one of the big words was allowing people to process their feelings. Mm-hmm. So ultimately you want to get to the forgiveness piece, the happiness, positivity, glass half full, but it's normal and healthy to feel.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And so, I don't know. I had to start. So I found myself, going straight to that. It's all good. It's cool. Because we do it to ourselves, I feel like, as well. Mm-hmm. Not to everybody else, but we do it to ourselves, and it turns into a destructive behavior, which I feel like.
Yeah, and that's, So, and this is kind of my again, I just have all these kind of rules how I've just
Yeah,
learned,
go
like,
for it.
because I've had to learn things the hard way because I was the rebel child growing up.
Okay.
You know, I was raised strict,
Yeah.
raised in the church. Obviously, dad was a pastor, you know that. And just, again, very, very strict to the T. Like,
Okay.
God's name ain't in vain. You know, I mean, you ain't swearing. No PG-13 movies.
I didn't watch Harry Potter until I was like 18.
I don't
like
even
none
think I
of
was
them.
technically allowed to.
Yo.
Like, I watched it probably when I was out
I
of the
watched
house
it like one of
already.
my first kind of real girlfriends because we were catching up. What's the last one? Part 1 and part 2 of Voldemort, I think. I don't know, but we
definitely.
She had like HBO and we watched like all of them like all day, and it was so amazing to me because my mom was like, "No, we ain't dealing with that witchcraft, that sorcery, none of that."
We didn't even have Pokemon, bro.
What?
I mean, that's how it was. Like, it was no Pokemon.
Oh, wow.
We had Ninja Turtles though. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
Ninja Turtles. That was. I love Ninja Turtles.
So with that happening, like it kind of, is that stereotype true? Like you have like, because my dad was a deacon, but is it different like having like a pastor kind of always being seen in that light, feeling like you have to be a certain type of way?
I mean, honestly, dude, like more of it was more credit to my mom.
Okay.
You know, my mom and how she was raised with her mom, single mom.
Okay.
Her and her sister, and just kind of just how she's just been raised that same way.
Yeah.
Pops is very relaxed, very calm,
Super
very understanding
chill,
and listening.
chill,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like the perfect mixture.
He should
of
have
mom
his
and
own
dad.
podcast. It's like
Don't give us any ideas.
Do it. I
We
want to be a
busy.
guest. He has like a cadence, which is really nice.
Yeah. But I think, you know, I think it ultimately was just how structured. I mean, it's how she was, man. It's like, and hey, we just ultimately too, we were just raised to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't lie, you don't.
So in being a rebel, you were still like kind of playing.
Well, that's because, you know, I had the demons.
Yeah.
Once I thought I was mature in high school, to where it was just like the strictness of it. I just wasn't
once you
about
got
it.
free.
I wanted to be free.
Okay.
But it's like, nah, man. Like, you're not 18. You're in my house. You're gonna follow my rules. So then it kind of shifted to how can I, you know, get away with things.
Yeah.
You know, to where it's like, and that's that destructive behavior where, I mean, it just. But that's ultimately what I wanted to get back to was.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's about your tribe, and I'm huge on this. Who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
That is a huge determining factor on how you use like your energy or whatever it is. And, you know, back then when I'm surrounded, you know, just by people who just make horrible decisions. Yeah, we were friends more so because we just were raised together, you know, and it's like, but then we were all doing the same
people start
stuff,
growing
and it's
up
just like,
yeah.
man, like, I mean, you become the company that you keep. Even if I am high energy, my high energy, like you said, destructive. I mean, it goes to the wrong purpose, right? Not for good, you know. Like the evil, even though you might think it's not that bad. It's like, nah, dude, but you ain't using it for good,
right?
So if it's not for good, right? I mean, what's the point of having that gift or whatever it is?
That's what
right?
no Tact talk is.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people it came. You know, ultimately it came. It's a selfish reason because I couldn't sleep. You know, I tell people all the time, like I have to have these outlets to talk, and if I don't, like I can't sleep because all those thoughts are still in my head.
Yep.
And now it's turning into like a, you know, a foundational piece to like, you know, propel wherever it's gonna go. But, you know, talking to people, I feel like that's kind of like my own ministry in itself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we still do stuff with inside the walls, but a lot of times these no tech conversations won't be as accepted, I feel, in most church environments. So this is like my ministry. Yeah. You know, that's where I'm at. And then as far as the positivity piece, like, I started to feel like back in the day at least, started to feel like a hypocrite because that energy, I would still have the upbringing, right? Go out, do whatever. Yeah. And then I tell my boy, like, hey, man, you can't do such and such. Because to me, it's like, oh, man, I'll never cross this line, right? Mm-hmm. But I've already crossed like 17 already, you know? And so, like, yeah, so I go back home and, you know, and they couldn't really take me seriously. Like, they knew what I was saying was right, but it wasn't coming from a guy who was doing right. He just talking.
Yeah, what you preaching? You know, it's like, because you ain't practicing.
Right. So, before we get too far into it, man, I got to congratulate you. It's going to be a lot of applauses on marriage.
Thank you.
My boy is getting married. Not going to tell y'all the date because it might be some, I got to tell you something after
we don't technically have a date.
Well, good. Don't tell, listen,
2 weeks or
don't tell nobody. We had so many people try to come up against us because we put the date out. I'm telling you, it's a whole story in it, but you never know, like you said, what demons might be trying to come back and ruin that big day. But so how old are you again?
So I'm 26.
26. Oh, great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
26. So what made you like get into that headspace to like, hey, I want to get married? Because it took me a long time. I think I got married at 26. Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, and it's funny. So today is actually, I just got back from breakfast. Today is me and Maria's 5-year of like meeting each other.
Okay.
So it's literally our 5-year. Timing was a huge part of it.
Okay.
And then also, so recently I had gone to talk with her father, and so she's Catholic. So
really?
There's a lot, and granted, we've done a lot of work to be able to work with that together.
I want to talk.
So there's a lot of dude, it's good. So I went and go to speak with him.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to talk to him. There was already
he kind of already knew it was coming.
Not really.
Ooh.
But I think he ultimately did. He knew there was some tension there. I mean, just because of literally our relationship.
Yeah.
So I had gone to talk with him, kind of break bread, man, and just, hey, look, like I'm here out of respect and honor for you, and because I love your daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, essentially welcome, to the family. Okay. And he's like, so what's next? And I'm like, well, I thought you were kind of more going to talk a little bit more. I'm like,
this is all I had in my notes.
And I was like, I mean, honestly, dude, what's next is like, I would love to have your blessing, to marry Maria. You got it. Boom, like that. Mm-hmm. So then we come home. I talk with my pops too. Same thing.
Yeah.
And actually both of our parents had eloped. Right. So that's kind of that's why it's sped up. Because we want to do the wedding. We want to do all that. And then there's a lot of hoops that we need to hop through as far as like COVID, as far as talking to some priests, because I'm not Catholic, to make sure that I'm basically good.
How does that work though?
Something like I never knew.
Everybody's gonna be like in the comments, what about equally yoked and da 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 da. So like, how does?
So you go and essentially you talk with a priest, and then as long as the priest essentially like.
So it's gonna be like a Catholic priest.
Yes.
Doing it.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe not anymore. Oh man, there's so much to the story because COVID, right?
Yeah.
So we can't. I mean, it's that really is what sped it up. Is that it's like we're just tired of waiting.
Yeah.
We're trying to find venues. Where are we gonna do it? What family can come? Do we have to worry about family getting sick?
Have a virtual wedding.
Anything? Or do we have a wedding? Right. And it came down to I talked with Pastor Dwight.
Okay.
And I talked with him, and he's just like, look, he's like, hear my heart in this, but like, what are you waiting for, right? And so I went to dinner. It's hilarious. As soon as I got back from talking with Pastor Dwight, I get home and Maria's like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Nothing. Like,
right.
I'm home from work, whatever." And she's like, "Good, because babysitter's on her way. We're gonna go to dinner. We go on a dinner date."
Nice.
And it just was like, we just had such an amazing conversation. I'm like, dude, what?
Let's do it.
Everybody's right. Like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
We can do a big party, a big ceremony,
whatever. We have
next
2
year.
anniversaries.
Yeah.
Well, it's because of the military. My parents have 2 anniversaries. So, like, they had a small one, right?
Yep.
And then, like, I think a couple months later, they had a bigger one.
Yeah.
And then our parents really wasn't about, her parents really wasn't about it, because they wanted it to be like this whole big thing. But for one, I had to get that BAA started for the military, because I was still in Tennessee. And so I had to get that money started so I could bring her up to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And so it worked out either way, but we had a smaller intimate wedding, just our brothers and sisters. And we were good because she was like, I'm not going to move into a marriage anyway. Yeah. Because it was that whole piece.
Yeah. And that's also that's what expedited for us too.
Okay.
We're still separate within the house.
Yeah.
And again, that's challenging to my belief system and also to her belief system.
Yeah.
But also when, we've done things a little out of order, and we have Laura that we have to keep in mind.
Beautiful.
Baby girl, 16 months old, bro. It's crazy.
She's so smart.
Just like
you can tell. I'm watching all the videos and stuff. Like, she's mad smart.
Like, overnight click. I'm
like,
oh, wow. Like, she's
getting
listening, man. Like, she's understanding. But yeah, that was also part of it. Is that we're still separate. She, Maria's got the whole master, everything. I got my little bedroom, and so we've honored it in that sense. Okay. Is that even though we are under the same roof, we are keeping that separate to really try to honor our vow of purity, because we did our premarital course and everything like that.
How was that?
Intense, bro.
That's why I wanted to tell people premarital counseling should not be fun. It should not be easy.
If it's not hard, then you ain't having the right conversation.
You got to get that stuff out. And so people think it's just like a check in the box. But, I had my issues. And I would tell people, I'm not getting too much into it. But, like, I think it was like 8 weeks, right? So I was wrong for like 7 of them. It was definitely all me. Like, every week I felt like it was just me. So I'm working on myself, whatever. And that 8th week, boy, maybe it was the 7th or 8th week, it was a her. Yeah. We finally got down to her. Yep. And so I was still wrong that week because I was so excited. I was like, finally. I said that. I was like, finally.
That's funny.
And so we worked through a lot of stuff. And so even when it arises, whether it's me or her, we can kind of always lean back onto that or other people, but we know like we have a healthy way of getting whatever we need to out. Yeah. I feel like at least it's only been 3 years.
And you know what? And I'll tie this right back into belief too, man. Yeah. Is that like me and Maria have been engaged before. Like I've proposed, she had a ring before. This was about 2.5 years ago, right?
Okay.
But this was when I was not in faith. Oh. I didn't really even know. I knew I believed in God, but I did not like the church. I had some church hurt from my home back in Indiana. Yada, yada, yada. A lot of it probably just accountability. I didn't want to hold myself accountable to, or even take the time to figure out what I truly believed, right? Mm-hmm. So we tried, dude, and then it didn't work. Like, we literally broke up. We broke up.
From the engagement?
From the engagement.
Okay.
And then we broke up entirely for like 3 months. Like, it was just like space.
Okay.
Didn't even talk. And then we just, something sparked it. She like texted me or something, and then we just start talking again. We get back on the speaking terms. Then she moves to Austin, so then now we're in the same city.
Okay. Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. And then really just God. The first time we tried to do it, man, like God was not at the center of it, which I think is where a lot of the confusion, the frustration, the anger.
What does it mean to have God in the center of your relationship?
Man,
you gotta go. I know, right?
I think honestly,
for you,
having His hands involved, and I spoke earlier on timeline.
Yeah.
Everything that we tried to do before was according to our agenda and our timeline. And this time it's like, dude, things have just lined up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and the only reason they line up, man, is because you release the control. Like, and I'm a control guy. Like, I like to have that control. I think I can handle everything, right? We're wired that way.
Oh, for sure.
And so it was just like, you know what? This is going to work however God wants it to work. And I just have to have faith now. I'm not sure how it's going to. And that's also, but it's relieved. I see so many people go through, weddings and marriages and getting just even prepped for that. And there's so much stress.
Down to the chicken, bro.
Dude.
Do I have any advice for you?
Aunt Sue and Uncle Johnny sitting at the same table.
It's the food at that wedding. Listen, bro. I mean, the food is mad expensive. Getting a caterer or whatever. Yeah. You might know somebody. That'd be great. But I remember, I'm going off completely off topic, but
it's stress.
You'd be surprised what stresses you out during this whole process. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, it's really about y'all. Like, I wanted to just, take the lump sum of money and just go on a trip.
Yeah.
I don't even want people to come. Like, we'll see how we get back, do something small. But a lot of people put so much stock in the wedding. And it's really about y'all. And it's really about her, honestly, in the wedding. We just happen to be there.
She wants to dress and everything. And I'm like, and I'm simple. And that's where me and Maria are great counterparts. I'm very simplistic, but she's very detailed and organized. Yep. And I would say I'm organized, but not to the level that she is. Right?
Yeah.
That thing, bullet points, sub points. We got it all, check marked off.
That's how she is.
That's what Pop said. I was talking to my dad, and he's just like, dude, at the end of the day, he's like, I promise you, because everybody feels this way. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, when the day is there, and you're sitting there up on that stage, and it's just you two looking at each other, man, there ain't nobody else in that room. And I'm like, dude, you're right. So then we're like, all right, we're gonna elope. How do we do this? And we're both trying to honor our belief systems and our faith. Yeah. To where again, we've counseling. Premarital, a lot of stuff
so
that we put into
you
this.
Believe it is possible to have two different faiths?
I do.
So
I think we're the living, we're the
they're
living
close.
testimony. It's going to be a daily.
It's not like she's like a atheist or nothing, or like a paganistic nothing, but they're close. But let me start here. So what do you think the major difference is between being a Catholic and a Christian? Because I'm similar. I know a little bit about it, enough to like.
So there is what I've come to learn about the Catholic religion, and I'm not speaking down on it. I'm not, everybody has their own right, and I think that's the number one thing. Right. I can't think I'm better, which is my belief, and I can believe like, hey, mine is true and whatever that is, but I can't speak down on it. I'm not better. Yeah. Right. Like I am who I am, and I need to show understanding and love towards that. But what I think the number one thing that shocked me and that surprised me, man, is how systemic the church is there. It's like, I'm talking, dude, they have a database of every single person that's ever been married in a Catholic church. And I'm like, y'all have what?
You remember Matt? That's me and Matt were talking about. Uh-huh. So we did 2 episodes on, we really did one long episode of like 3 hours. We broke it down into 2. They were the American Gospel on Netflix. Have you seen that? Oh man, it's heavy. But they're really talking about just like the gospel, right? And you know, preachers would talk about David and Goliath, and you are David. And it's like, no, David was just David, because ultimately the Bible is about the gospel, Jesus, right? Yeah. So, or was it? Oh yeah, so they had this little diagram to where, you know, obviously, you know, Jesus died for your sins. We already good no matter what. Yeah. Right? No matter what sin, we good, whether we, you know, but ultimately you just a pilgrimage to just be a better person. Catholicism, how they at least portrayed it, was like, okay, you sin, you going down. You sin, you going down. All right, I'm gonna go talk to the priest. What's the confessional? All right, now that's cool. Yeah. Now I'm back on this line. It's just like an up and down thing about like earthly, you know, repentance. Yeah. And that's what kind of was like, well, yeah. I kind of did a little research after that, and so I was trying to find like even ground. But at the end of the day, they were saying, well, honestly, that's nothing against what y'all got going on, but this is just how I'm viewing it. It was like, okay, so if let's say you and your wife, all right, you and your wife are sitting down in church, somebody should be mad. That's what they said. They said, well, if a Christian preacher's preaching, she should be mad because it is not aligned with what she believes in, and vice versa. Yeah. I remember I knew I would call her name out right now, but it was this girl, bro, I was gonna get married to. I thought she was the best thing since sliced bread, and she took me to her class, is what she called it, right? And I mean, I'm talking about head over heels, goodness, so I was like, I'll try it out, because it was already an argument just to get me there. So I walk in, and they had like the Bible, I think the Torah, and like something else that they had, and they had like it was like a hierarchy of like pictures, and I forgot, it was like some bishop or, you know, whatever at the top, and Jesus was like on the third level, and I was just like, oh Lord, you know, I'm like, so I'm sitting there, and so I came on a day to where it was multiple speakers, and they all had like 10 minutes or something. So each one got worse and worse and worse, and I'm fuming.
Like I'm about to walk out.
Yo, like I'm red as that box, you know, I'm fuming, and so because everything they were saying was, I mean, completely contradictory to everything I had ever learned. Not even, we grew up, and we're going to talk about that too, as far as, you know, you finding your faith again. Cause I tell people I did the same thing. As much as the foundation that I had to find God again for myself, not just because of what my dad told me.
Straight rebirth, man.
Yeah, for real. So it was going against everything I knew, and she could see me over there just like adjusting in my seat, like mad, checking my phone, like, bro, when is this over? So, but towards the end, they were like bashing other, you know, religions. So I said, if I didn't know nothing else, if I didn't know nothing, you know, what was it, agnostic, right. If I just didn't believe in nothing, they just talking about other people.
Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't have chosen any of these.
Yeah, like y'all ain't even talking about y'all. Y'all talking about everybody else and how they're wrong. We don't have to tithe. You know, someone, Bishop, you know, water guy, whatever, he'll provide. You know, the dude died like 6 years ago.
Right.
See, I also believe, you know.
Well, and I think, you know, one thing I think I've seen too is that they will there's more precedence on certain things that I think more as a non-denom I've come to find. And I'm not always 100% correct in saying this, right? This is kind of, it's a little bit of personal belief built into that too, is that when I read the word, you know, it's not up for interpretation, but you should try and interpret it and make it relatable to you and current situations.
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
Because not all of it's going to translate 100%, right? I mean, if it does, then you're a genius inside your head. Because I love Pastor Eric, because it's like, man, it's hard for me to read the Bible. Yeah. I need somebody to really kind of help me break it down, that's why I love that. Whereas, like, I know with Maria and, like, in Catholic, I mean, it's like you don't stray away from the Word. Because the Word is the Word, and that is the truth, and there's precedent. Like, that is it. Okay. There is nothing else after this. Like, we shouldn't. Like, you should just read this, right? Or even just like the precedents in baptism and how they view that as like you need to be baptized as soon as you're born. Things like that, right?
But there's not another baptism after that. It's like the christening or whatever.
I believe and that I'm not. I want to say there was a second one. I believe it's just the one though.
Because I was just talking about that too. Like you know, you might get pressured right into early on. Like I'm 10 or something, and I get baptized.
And I was baptized.
You don't know.
I was baptized
really
when I was 7.
I mean, I was like 12. Grade. You know, I didn't know what it really meant. I just know that every Sunday, like, my uncles and aunties were like, all right now, you know, because, you know, at the end of the church, like, they'll bring that little chair right there, and you want to give you like, I'm like, and I just felt the pressure of doing it, I did it. I didn't like it because I don't like swimming in water. And so like I still feel like he kept me under that water too long. That's just me. But
you had some extra sin.
You know, right? Off. He's trying to get it off using the Brillo pad. No, but that's funny. I did it and it was cool, but it's not like I was living for God at that point. I just did it and then to get them off my back, honestly. Yeah. And so coming back to finding God again for yourself, I think everybody has their own way and should have their own way to find it because we can't, at the end of the day, we're going to get judged separately. We could be cool as we want to be, but like, even if you right behind me in line or whatever, they're going to show all my stuff, at the end. And so it's going to be
don't be acting like you ain't got nothing because everybody's got it. I mean, ain't nobody perfect. And that, I mean, and I love that is like, because at the end of the day, for me, and I think this is actually probably one of my biggest struggles of being now reinstalled into my faith, right? And just being a believer, like, I mean, true believer, not just a, I go to church, like I'm very serious. And, I mean, with the youth and just wanting to get back. And my whole mission, man, is to really just try and spread the love.
So what does that mean?
That's the first message I heard. And I didn't go to church for I grew up in the church, man. I would go 3-4 days a week. Once I was in high school, everything, dude. And then I didn't go for probably 6 years, not even to a single church. If I did, I'd just get mad, man. I just had, struggles with my faith, with my decisions, again, living up to that accountability of what you're doing, and you don't want to, right? It's easier just to keep doing it and say it's not that bad. And the first message I heard, Eric goes in and he's just talking about, man, like, why do you think nobody wants to be a Christian? Like, if you ain't giving them a shoulder to lean on instead of turning your shoulder because there's something different than you. Yeah. And so that's why I went back to Summit. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm about. I want to spread love.
That's what people do. They'll go to a church I could even just say not for them. They don't have to be no crooked church or nothing, but it's a church on every corner. Figure it out. So it's an excuse. Oh no, last time I went to church, blah 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 blah. The music was too loud, whatever. Yeah, right. Okay, go across the street.
Right. Actually go. Like if you're saying but I mean, I think I lead people to their faith, to the church by being an example of Christ, man. It's like I love you. Yeah. No matter what, and now don't get me wrong. There's forgiveness, but then sometimes you just don't forget things. Like you don't want people
to put you in your place. I forgave you now, but I mean we going out.
I forgive you, and I'm good in my heart. Yeah. And I hope you figure it out. But at the same time, you ain't gonna use me either. Yeah. And so, that's probably the toughest thing. Is that you want to be there for people, you want to give them that shoulder, to try and help them.
Who's there for you, right? That's the thing too, because I found myself actually around the time coming to Summit, because there was a whole pruning process for me, getting rid of friends, but I was like, man, I ain't got nobody. Yeah. Because I was so serious about God and my relationship with God, especially being newly married at the time and just trying to get all my stuff in order, like in every sense. Yeah. I was drained because I felt myself sharpening everybody else. Yeah. And I know, just knowing the person, right? Knowing the personality, like we have very similar personalities, it gets draining, and you're this thing for everybody.
Well, you're giving.
And then even with your girl, your wife, right? You don't want to, as a man, you don't want to just come home and just dump. Yeah, you talk about things, but ultimately you need to have somebody's like, bro, I get it. Yeah. Just all right, what's up?
Yeah. I didn't have that for the longest time. Yeah. I mean, still to this day, I don't have enough really, truly just Christian friends that I need to be influenced. You're obviously part of that. That's why what you were saying, I need to start.
We gotta do something, bro. Right? We gotta go work out or something.
But that's that biggest thing is, but that's ultimately I feel like what led me back to my faith, because the people who I was leaning on, I cut them out. I mean, it's like, dude, I can't. I mean,
it becomes so working. Clear, right?
Something ain't working.
Yeah,
I mean,
it ain't me.
Have to be back in my faith, right? I know I'm not like this. I just know I'm not. And that's ultimately what led me back. And I think ultimately my parents never gave up either. That's, I think, something to keep in mind is that I see people in the path that they go, and sometimes they're just giving up on. Yeah. To where, there was probably times that my parents man, I'm just sick and tired of telling this dude the same thing over and over again, but they never gave up. Okay. And they never gave up influencing, hey, you want to come to church? And that was the number one thing that made my mom happy, was if I came to church with her. Now, she didn't pressure me into do it, But if like I wanted to make my mom happy, like I go to church.
You knew. Yeah.
And they never gave up on that. And I think, you know, again, that resilience, even though as I got older, it changed, you know, like there isn't really the pressure. It's more just, hey, do you want more of the option?
Okay.
I don't want to push you further away than you already are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if people aren't reminding you, and even Maria was very locked in with her faith, and I wasn't at all. And we're sitting here talking like we're going to get married. And I'm like, I don't even know what I believe. Like, that was a dumb choice, man. You know, and it's like sometimes you need people to challenge. And that was a huge argument with me and Maria because she would challenge me. She's like, what? She would literally, and I would get mad. Because not that I couldn't talk about what I believed in. It's like, man, I didn't really ultimately know what I believed in. So, like, I couldn't even have an argument.
You couldn't be passionate about it.
I just get upset. Like, stop. Like, you know.
Did y'all ever, like, try to convert each other one way or another?
Never, man.
Never, like,
was
it Mass, I think, right?
Yeah, I used to go to Mass. And so all their Mass is in Latin. And I mean, they're traditional. So Maria's one of 11 from Argentina. So, I mean, they're like,
whoa.
It's traditional Catholicism.
Okay.
But this is what I love too, is that, so I would go to that. I don't anymore. And she would come to Summit, you know, and it's like, so then we were just kind of, it was something that we found that in order for us, and again, it's a daily, a monthly, a yearly, it is a forever going to be something commitment. We have to work on.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not going to be easy. And it's like, I mean, and that's, if you think it's going to be easy marrying into a different religion, like you have another thing coming, right?
I already see how hard it can be.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's understanding. And also for me, like I wanted to learn about Catholicism so that I could understand, you know, where she was coming from belief wise, and same for her.
I understand it to rebuttal people, to refute. What's the word?
Just
well,
no
so right. I'm being honest with you.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
so you have to. So it's an army tactic. You got to know your enemy, right? Before you can speak on it.
Yeah.
So I took time, and I'm still reading. What's that book? Life of Muhammad. I forgot the name of the book, but it's his staple book. But a lot of great values in there, you know. But I'm taking it. I'm picking out what I need. And still reading the book. I feel like we can read anything. Yeah. 48 Laws of Power. Terrible book on like a spiritual standpoint. It really is. Yeah. Like the first person that talked to me about it, he was like, yeah, you got to read that book and the Bible at the same time. Like obviously you're reading the Bible still, but he's like, you got to like put them together because the 48 Laws of Power teaches you how to live in a gray area.
Yeah.
You know, with any religion, I think it's like, okay, do what's right according to whatever, right? But with 40 Laws of Power, it's like, bro, do whatever it takes to get to the end goal, you know. So whether it's moral or not. Yeah. So if you're being moral, it's for a reason. Yeah. Not just because it's right. It's a dope book though. Like so I'm on my third read of it because I've used it and implemented it, but I haven't let it take me, you know, off a cliff. Yeah. Well, and as long as you keep your roots intact with it, right? I think that's probably why he was saying to read them hand in hand. Like, correct. Because you start reading stuff and they teach you about like the old Ming Dynasty and like Attila the Hun and all these different time periods of where they use like strategy and just cunning, you know, to just get what you need to get power. Tact. Yeah, right. For like perfect words. But so with that, and I think this is a great topic. We'll get off of it in a second. So what was like the end all be all? Like, hey, cool, we can do this. Does that mean like she's gonna come visit sometime? You gonna come visit her? Like, wouldn't that like distract you a little bit? Or like if y'all were out and you saw like the waiter or something, you might feel like an inkling to talk. Like, I guess she's just gonna let you do do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying. So I think about it from as far as like speaking on our faith. Well, yeah, or acting on your faith because you're very active in the church, and so like, if she see you doing your thing, which you're dope at what you do, right? Wouldn't it like deter her a little bit? Or you know what I'm saying? I'm just asking. Yeah. I don't know. No, it's a good question, man. You know, and I think no. To answer it, no. Yeah. Because I think with the amount of work that we put into just learning understanding to understand each other, it's straight up respect, man. I get that. I mean, I have as long as I don't have disrespect and she doesn't either. Yeah. You know, and again, I still think that is something we will always have to work on, right? There's going to be things that come up, especially with Laura, you know, like how she's being raised and everything. And like, hey, once she's like, if she wants to come to church with dad or she wants to go to church with mom. Like, isn't that confusing? Going to be. My parents, me and my mom left first. We were all going to the same church, and I didn't. So my mom left. She went on her journey because she said she wasn't being like spiritually fed enough. You know, that whole milk meat conversation. And it was a whole thing because my dad was like, well, no, like, this is our church. So it was that's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But I hated that. Like, I don't even think I ever told him. But I hated, like, both of my parents going to different churches. It felt so weird to me. Like, I would come home and I couldn't even talk about my church day.
Yeah.
To my dad. It would just be, we'd talk about something else. That's a whole other conversation. But I told my wife, I said, I don't want that for us. I said, I want us to both like the church, but it takes a give and take from both parties. So without getting too deep into that, it's so important for I think a child, you tell me, you got the child, right? Even my puppy. It's so important for us to be on the same page, Cause like, I'll come home from work and they already had their little system down. Like, what's up, bro? He's like, no, we chilling right now. This is chill time. Yeah. Mom's like, over there. But, so you can even see it on a puppy, but that's a child, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to pray for you, dog.
Yeah, man. And
it's good that y'all are both open-minded and willing to give and take. That's the biggest part.
I'm glad you said that, man. Because one thing that we've changed in our relationship, we pray together now. We just pray. I think there's just
power. Because they're the same guy.
Regardless of where, I mean, it's like as long as I think that's almost kind of been like, man, as long as we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because once we stop doing that, I feel like that's when the enemy, they're just going to look for ways to creep in, you know, to kind of split us up, to divide us. And that is a huge difference in us, right? Even though we're joining, we're becoming one, but we're different.
Yeah.
And again, I think ultimately that just goes down to the work you put into it, man.
And I think too, I just had I always have little thoughts in my head. I obviously would never understand the mind of Christ or God, but I think every, religion kind of got it right a little bit as far as like values. So who's to say that the guy that's growing up believing in a Steelers fan is his God, but he's still living a great life, treating everybody right,
has good
and
morals,
he dies, right?
Makes good decisions.
Who's to say that he goes to hell?
Yeah.
If he never experienced who God was, right? And so I talk about this, my military friends all the time. Like I got a buddy, he deployed to like what's it? Not Arabia. What's that place? Dubai. That's what it is. And so his wife was from Dubai, and she was a Muslim. And so he converted, and so he knew like
That's a good conversation.
Yo, so dope dude. I mean, great. Great guy. Met him at Fort Campbell, and so he converted, and so he had like the whole thing in his house, just like you see them photos up there. He had like this golden Torah thing, whatever. I think it's the Torah from that they use, and he taught me about it, and it went hand in hand. So it has like he had like the Bible on one side, like the Torah, and they would like compare. And so it's all kind of intertwined a little bit, but I said, what made you do it?
Yeah.
He was like, well, a lot of my beliefs and, aligned with what they were doing. And he said, I honestly feel like in my heart that this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And my wife introduced me to it, but because I think when people actually start like diving in, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's like, even like if you're a Christian right now, you're trying to understand more about God, it's like that cracking that salt on your nose, whatever you do, right? It's like, whoa, I didn't even know it was this deep. Like, so I asked him, so I was like, yeah, man, because we were so able to be friends. And we talked about that because, we were real heavy in our own relationships. And so I do think that it's absolutely possible. But even with the girl, that's what I went to her class about.
Yeah.
We broke up that day.
Yeah,
that was
Let's
it.
go for a walk.
We talked for like 6 hours, man. Like, and we were yelling, going back and forth. Like I was about to leave 3 or 4 times. We was talking on the steps in the car, like everything. And I just like, I can't. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm comparing because those were two completely different things. Like, I mean, 2 sides of a coin for sure. But I think y'all can do it.
I think it's all about the.
It's
about the work.
Yeah.
Right after the fact.
Yeah.
But I think what I've learned too is that it was all about the prep. Like we weren't ready. Thank the Lord that He broke us up, man. Because I'm like, if we had gotten, we would not be. I bet you we would not be married today.
Yeah.
I mean, because there was so much stuff that we hadn't uncovered, and that's what that premarital course. So that was our to end it there. It was like, hey, if we get through this, because literally, like, something like 50% of the time, like these couples don't make it.
Yeah.
Or they don't even make it through the class, or something's uncovered through going through the class, right? And it happens. But that's why you take the class. So we looked at each other. Okay, we've been doing counseling for like probably 4 or 5 months every week, man. Just going and meeting and talking with a spiritual leader as well, like, so that we're getting good advice. It's not just
was it a neutral spiritual leader?
It was Sissy from church.
Okay, well, that's one thing too, though.
Maria felt safe with her, and she was very. So
that was a discussion because it was at the time at my church in Alabama. It was somebody that I knew and she didn't know. Yeah. And so she was like, "Well, he's just on your side." I'm like, "Nah." And so we had to kind of have that conversation too.
Yeah. And it was like, "Hey, are you okay with this?" And it was amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of tears, a lot of smiles, because we're like, "Oh my gosh, we're making progress, man." But then
I remember being hungry the whole time. I was so hungry in them classes. They took forever. It was a prep. Sorry.
Like, maybe y'all bring breakfast next time.
Enough about your marriage, man. We getting y'all business. So I saw some of your Facebook a couple of days ago that I took down just for this. You share like a they bring back the old posts. It was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I think you said chasing purpose, not titles, answering my calling, and you said # something in worship.
Yeah.
So your headspace then versus now. I want to talk about that because that's a dope statement. You should put that on the T-shirt.
Yeah, I should. That's pretty good. I got a press now too. That's a good idea. I might just have to make a shirt.
Do it, man.
I mean, honestly, dude, amplify that times 10. I don't know if you know Grant Cardone, 10X, but it's like, man, it is that times 10.
Yeah.
To where we have been, with a lot of it really what's going on with the business. We have just been blowing up. And we're staying humble and grateful, right? But then also, like, I'm not chasing any time. I don't just because I'm a VP, whatever. Yeah. Cool, man. Like, I'm trying Redwood, and I've got this whole presentation that we do on it. It's called the House of Dreams, and really,
I still gotta get my pet insurance.
What? I got you on for real. You better get it now while they're young. It's cheap.
Let's do it.
It's cheaper.
Right after
do it right now, right?
Yeah, for
real. But it's more of what can Redwood be as a vehicle, as a tool, as an opportunity, whatever you want to call it, for people to be able to chase that purpose and that passion.
Okay.
And that really is literally what we founded our agency on, is that we don't want Redwood just to be.
And what's the whole name so people know?
Redwood Agency Group.
Okay.
We are an insurance brokerage here in Austin, Texas. Hey. We're also licensed all over the country.
There you go.
We're everywhere. If it can be insured,
we can do it. Put in like the details.
18 states. We can do it. And we've been super blessed, with the types of contracts and stuff that we have, to where we are direct. We don't have to have a middleman. We are top dog to the carriers.
Because I remember there was like this kind of pivot point that kind of really set y'all apart. That moment, we won't talk too much about that, but just kind of being humble in that situation, and getting soliciting prayer for it, and realizing where God's gonna take you. So even with the podcast, like sponsors or whatever else that's been happening, I'm like, okay,
comes out of the woodwork.
It's all good, but no, hey, I'm talking Joe. Let's go. It don't even matter, like, because ultimately, like, it started off for a selfish reason, but I'm doing this for the people. I'm doing this, ultimately is my own worship for God, and I'm using this superpower that He gave me, legit, for good, like you said, and not evil. So anyway, go ahead.
And that's what Redwood really is, and it's again like it's that car, whatever that will take you to that next step in life. And I tell people, like, don't come join Redwood, thinking that this is your end all. Like this is the last thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
If it ends up being that way, great.
Cool.
But like it won't be your position that you just start. I promise you that you're gonna level up.
Yeah.
And so what I push people is that, look, man, insurance ain't for everybody either. And I tell people to come in because, hey, maybe your passion is, maybe you're good at insurance, but your passion is to start a podcast, or you want to go travel the world, and whatever those passions. Again, what your true passion. For me, it's coaching. I'm doing a lot of what I'm doing now because I want to coach, and I can't coach now because the Lord, I don't have time because of the business and stuff. But I'm a lacrosse coach. I'm a high school lacrosse coach.
For what high school?
It was up in St. Louis. I tried doing it here in Cedar Park, and I couldn't make the time commitment.
With work, man.
Hey,
I hear high schools. I hear job. I'm recruiting. Like, you join the Army.
Straight up though, but it really is. I mean, that's what Redwood is going to be. Is that I want to be coaching all my daughter's teams. I want to be that dad that can be around.
So why coaching though?
That's my passion.
Why? Is it the sport or is it the kids?
No, it's the giving back, man. The kids.
Okay, right. So
kids.
that can be transformed. That's what I'm learning now.
Yeah.
So podcast is turning into a motivational speaking piece.
Yeah.
I'm already kind of talking with a couple people about that, and like I'm gonna start putting out content for that, you know. But it's something completely. I never thought that it would be this.
Yeah.
Even now.
Oh yeah.
And
it'll change. It'll change too.
I'm talking about for you too, though,
yeah,
right? So okay, Redwood coaching, you know, pouring back into the youth, being that foundation, but we have like that reserve, like, you know, call us Super Saiyan something, right? You want to be Goku or Vegeta?
Goku.
Really? I'll be Vegeta.
Goku, man.
Okay, that's fine.
I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up, as we talked about. But
really?
No Pokemon. You think I'm
going to be able to watch Dragon Ball? They didn't even, right.
2 episodes being on fire.
So I was just watching the episodes for real. So they tap into that reserve, right?
Yeah.
Into where, like, whenever they think that they're done, nah, I'm not done, because it's still the enemy we got to beat.
Got another level.
That I feel that, bro. And I know I have that, and I know you have that. We have another level. I think everybody has the potential to be Goku.
Yeah.
But they thinking like Yamcha.
Right.
They are.
You gotta level up. Yeah. But it's a mindset thing. It
is, bro.
It's a mindset thing.
So, and I've been talking about this lately in the last couple of podcasts. So the 1% mindset, right? So how do you wake up every day and just decide, like, all right, let's be great?
Man, it's funny. I was just, and I kind of, how I work, I'm very challenge driven, where I will challenge myself, right? Like, I mean, and every morning, it's funny. I was just talking to so we have a franchise program too. So one of my franchise agents is in town from Massachusetts for the week, and then he's coming to this conference, this wealth conference we're going to next week.
Yeah.
Just getting to know him and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, what? Like, he's like, what are you doing, man? Because he just he was in the office with me this week. He's like, dang, dude, like, Joe's crushing it. Like, man, you've been on the phone, like, how many hours? Like, and I'm just always just going.
I don't have that. And that's where we're different, because I have to just be like, with this. Yeah. I can wake up at 3 a.m. and do this. Yeah. But I don't care. Like, you know, for me, I'm just saying, like.
Well, and for me, it's
that's what I'm asking,
when I wake up, and he's like, how do you do it? And I said, because it starts as soon as you wake up. So it's a good question, because
so you make up your bed every morning.
How you start I don't make my bed, but I wake up.
That's what they say.
I wake up and I say, what? And I literally keep my eyes closed and I stretch, you know, whatever. Yeah. I just keep it very quiet, and I'm like, what are you capable of today? Like just what all am I capable of, right? So it's that challenge of not necessarily naming everything 100% what I need to do that day, but like, because then I think you almost limit yourself. Okay, hey, I write it down on a list, and then I stop once my list is done. And I'm like, but I already know it's what's on my list. I mean, I'm success driven. I'm like, I already know what's on that list. So I don't stop. I'm like, what am I actually capable of? And that's what I push. And I'm not, dude, don't get me wrong. It's not don't work every day.
Well, no, I get,
you know, but it's like,
but still just at least being consistent. And so that's where I think we're kind of cheating a little bit, because it kind of comes naturally for us too. But I know a lot of people, and I talked about that in the first couple of episodes, where we might be extroverts, but for the introverts out there that are listening, they might not know, like, when to speak up or say something, or, you know.
Or even sometimes they need a kickstart.
Like legit.
When am I supposed, you know, right? Just,
well, they don't want to be out of pocket, because it's outside of their personality. So that might come easiest for us, but, you know, but our downfall, our kryptonite is being quiet.
Yeah.
you know, so it's bad too. So that's where the no tact came from, is because it's too many situations where people have told me, like, bro, chill. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You know, this is, I'm not going to water myself down just because you basic.
Yeah.
You know.
For the lack of it, like, hey, I mean, I'll be straight up. No tag, right?
That's
I mean,
it.
come on. And, you know, and for me too, like, I think it's, again, the mindset, right? Like, what we're tapping into. And this is always another thing that I really push every single day, man, is like, to push your comfort zone. And my dad, this is one of my favorite lines he ever said to me. I was trying to make this big, you know, I was either going to go work for this big time agent out on the East Coast and potentially could make tons of money out there, or I was going to go corporate, get my company car, all this, you know, $85,000 starting salary, comfort. And he's like, man, look, he's like, and I'm not going to make this decision for you, you know. And this is when I had just dropped out of college.
Nice.
I was 19 or 20 at the time, so like 6 years ago. I've been in the industry that long. And he's like, the Bill Gates of this world were not made in their comfort zones. And I'm like, boom. I scrapped the corporate. I'm like, man, I won't ever go corporate. I'm going to go agent. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to build up and a lot of what we do is for legacy.
Yeah.
To leave, like, what are we building? Like, or why?
Legacy mindset.
Tapping into your why every day, man. Like, why am I doing this? Like, because of my daughter, because of my family, you know, because of my name. I love, that's Kampert, man. There's power in my name, right?
Yeah.
And so tapping into that every day. That's essential. You have to be able to do that.
Tap in.
Sometimes, like what you're saying, though, I think for people who aren't necessarily kickstarted, like I wake up kickstarted, I'm ready to go, man. Right. Like I pop out, I get to office, like it's game time. You know, I don't even leave. Like I'm just going. I don't even eat lunch. But for other people, it's like, and I was just talking about this too. I coach and mentor agents. I'm a success coach in this thing that I'm in, and it's like, find what kickstarts you. Like sometimes, like for me.
So how do they find that though? What does that journey look like?
Us.
Listen,
the people who can, literally though, people who can kickstart on their own. Like, hey man, you know what? Sometimes for me, like I can come up with those thoughts in my head and do it. Sometimes you got to hear other people say it, right? So then I'll go, like, even if I have trouble like really getting going, I'll go. It's this YouTube channel. It's called like Law of Attraction Coaching.
Yeah.
And it's like 10 minutes, like how to start your day with every 10. You know,
I
whatever.
like Gary V. E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher.
Yes.
It's like one other guy. I can't remember.
I love Tony Robbins. David Goggins. David Goggins is freaking.
Oh yeah. I think we talked about it a little bit too. Yeah.
Beast. I love him, but that's me,
the thing, though.
I'm a challenger.
I get that though, but there was a divide for me because I feel like it's so easy to go make a Nike commercial with people working out, being great from a physical standpoint.
Looking ripped.
Yeah, I know. Like it takes a lot of mental to get to that point. But I'm talking about the guy at Regions that wants to be successful and be intentional. And it had no physical value at all. You know.
Yeah.
So that's where I think people like see like, oh man. I had this girl on, she called it inspiration porn because she was in a wheelchair. And she was like, people would just be, inspired by her just because she's living. She's like, no, don't be inspired by me just living. I'm living. I'm cool, right? Be inspired by what I do. And so
my actions. Yeah, that's good.
You just have to find, like you said, your why. And I feel like
I think that's the root of all of it. Wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, hey, man, if I'm not kickstarting, maybe sometimes you ask, why? I was like, well, maybe because you're at the wrong job. Maybe you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Maybe there's something that, you got bottled up. Yeah. And it's like, well, maybe that's why. And I think when you have, but that's the hardest part. Your why changes. Like my why 5 years ago, I promise
it's
you,
evolving.
was 1,000 times different than what it is now. But the reason that I think I'm so in tune with it is because I tap in daily. Even though it's changing and evolving, I'm with it. Like it's evolving because I am, and I'm in the know that I am. So, okay, hey, how can I really position myself for success here? Or how can I make myself better over here? Because this isn't tapping into my why, or my like.
So, what do you think was to date was your biggest adversity that you had to hurdle over, jump over?
Biggest adversity, business-wise, or just life-wise?
In general, because a lot of times they intertwine. I'm still at work right now being a recruiter because my phone ring. I got to answer it and go talk to some 17-year-old about joining the Army. Some of them are cool, though, man. A lot of these people be lying.
That's a good question, though, because I think
you got to go too deep into them, but yeah.
Life is full of adversity, man. The biggest one, I think, was making the leap to Redwood, right? So I'm with this dude. We were, top 10 Allstate agent in the country. We're writing over $1 million of auto and home insurance every month. Like some people, some people write maybe like a good month is like 20 to 25,000. Right? Like we were just next level. I'm making 10,000+ every month. Like I'm doing good, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I can either go start my own Allstate and do my own agency. I already know it. I'm really good at it. I've been ranked up, however many times within the organization I was working in, and I had the opportunity to go do that. And I ended up choosing to go start scratch with my dad in an industry.
There's something to be said about that, though.
There is.
Chilling with the pops.
Was the comfort zone thing I was telling you about, man. Okay. It's like, man, the billionaires of this world, man, like they were not made in their comfort zone. So I'm like, you know what? It's the same reason I took that first job that I was then contemplating, like, man, what do I do? Like, do I go start my own Allstate or do I, man? And I'm when I looked at it, I'm very family oriented, and pretty much everything I do somehow it's always tied into like because it's family. Right?
Yeah.
And I treat people like family, so that's a big part of it. But literally starting scratch, broke, no money, and we made it. We made it, man. I mean, like literally, if we shut down today, me and Dad could both make 6 figures.
Wow.
And like granted, you have to fire
cut
all your expenses. You're like, we ain't doing that,
But y'all be literally good. Worst case,
we could literally be okay. And that I think was comforting, but at the same time, right? Like, don't get comfortable. Okay, now now my goal is like, and this is huge, but like, so Grant Cardone's the guy I listen to, and he's like, man, why is your target $1 million? Like, man, you're thinking too small, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to set big targets, and I have it on my computer, and it's $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't stopping until I got $10 million.
That's what T-Pain said.
In my bank account.
T-Pain said 10 million liquid.
Yes.
Yep. So
not even liquid. I'm gonna have all property. I'm gonna have all kinds of real estate too. I'm talking like I got $10 literally in my checking account.
Ooh.
That's my like. And when
all right, I'm doing it with you.
Yep.
I'm doing it with you. You heard it here first.
Come on, baby.
10 millionaires on No Tact Talk.
That's fine.
No. Okay, so I don't want to keep you too long.
You good, man. It's good.
But I love this conversation. This is so amazing. Like I said, I was super excited about having it. So we're gonna get into the last 2 segments, which are super huge. 2 segments of No Tact Talk podcast. If you're a long time listener, you already know what they are. You know what they are? Don't even know. No. So first question is if
shame.
Right.
Shame.
No, if you could have any superpower, okay, in the world or whatever that ever existed, what would it be, and how would you use it to make money? Now, I don't want nothing deep. People always go deep. I want to make everybody feel good. I want to, end the world hungry. No, this is a selfish superpower for Joe.
Oh man, dude.
Everybody want to go deep and be
all.
Superpower
to make that makes me money.
Yeah, you superpowers. That you would like to have, and then how would you use that power to make money?
Ooh, that's a good one. In my profession, I'm gonna stick to because I'm committed to my profession. That's how I'm gonna make money forever.
You.
I would probably have to say, oh man, it's between reading somebody's mind, but sometimes I ain't trying to read all y'all minds. You know,
you got a choice, like, right? You can turn it on, or turn it off. I guess.
I'm like, it's like either read their mind or like just purchase power, like where literally like if I tell you to purchase, like you just buy it. So like you have to buy.
Ooh.
You have to buy insurance for me.
That's
if
what
you
I'm
get on the phone with me. It's like I'm thinking, how can I monetize my agency?
So you think you'll be able to control that greed though, like that desire?
Mind control. There you go, mind control.
Ooh.
I'll take mind control.
Okay, so
control. I'm not trying to read it. I'm trying to control.
So obviously you use that to make money with your business.
Yeah,
and you make $10 million about 2 days. Yeah.
Go through my whole book. Like, okay, hey,
all y'all buy more pets, get more pet insurance.
Go buy that yacht.
I always ask that question because, and I tell people you should ask your future wife this when you get home. I don't know if you already have or not, but ask her what
she probably do the same thing, dude. I know Maria.
Make it like chill. Make
too.
It like chill. Yeah. That says something though, because
I'll record it on the low.
There you go. It's the opposite, and so whatever people want is what they feel like they usually lack. So mine is super speed, right? It's flash. So I'm slow.
That would be cool.
Mama told me quit saying I'm slow. I'm not slow, Mama. I hear you, right? Yeah. But I'm not at the fast. I can run distance, but I've always, ever since I was younger, I always wanted to be just like fast, to match my personality, to match that wittiness, right? So I always wanted to do that. So as far as mind control, you feel like you don't have control in some areas. You feel like that.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean,
I'm just saying. I mean, we can get down in the deep recesses of Joe,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean. I feel like you should always ask somebody, this
That's
question
good.
Because whatever they want to happen, like if it's invisibility, then they don't feel like they be seen.
Invisible, bro?
So you'd be surprised how many people say invisibility.
Yeah.
Pastor White said flight, right? Because he want to fly away from his issues.
Ooh, that's deep.
Think about it, And so, I would say use invisibility because, people don't feel seen. People don't want to be seen because like they might have like self-esteem issues or something like that. So control is like, okay, and it's not like the holistic view of you, but in some areas,
right? There's areas for sure.
And I think that could go with anybody. You want to have control over certain situations, but that ultimately fuels you to be as great as you
are. You're so spot on, bro. You're gonna go back and listen to the beginning of this, and you're talking about the control, and I'm literally saying like, and that's the hardest part for me. Is to really give up to giving up control. Yeah. Like that's so hard for me, and that is so. You literally just circle back around, and it's like whoa, deep.
I'm telling you, right? Powers. People always want to be great. People always want to have. That's why superheroes are such a big cash cow for like Marvel and DC because it takes people to another place. Oh, I want to be Black Panther. I want to be
R.I.P.
Superman, right? And so they love it. It's like you see like what is it? You watch Supergirl on CW? I'm watching them all.
It's a little. The only reason I watch some of them DC is just to stay caught up on the timeline.
Yeah, that's true.
Man,
but
some of this corny,
it's drama though. They
yeah.
be crying like every episode, but whatever. So, but they had this little VR thing where like people, would buy these little goggles with a chip or whatever. They go in this augmented reality place and they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
That is a real carnal, feeling that people have on a daily basis. If I could just escape my job, if I could just escape, that's why drugs are popular. True. Right. Dude. And so when you get down to the human condition, it's natural. Like, we talked to our youth about having sex. It's a natural feeling. God gave you that feeling. Yeah. It's just putting it in the right place. Right. And so, and I'd be the first one to like my first time talking to the youth, I went all in. Like I told him, I was like, bro, I remember this one time, I was just so happy and excited because I'm talking to the high school boys. Yeah. And I think it was Chris. I forgot who was there, but they looked at me like I was crazy.
Like, whoa.
Legit. But I asked Pastor White, I said, hey, what are my left and right limits? He's like, he said, if it get too deep, pull them to the side, but ultimately, go for it. So, but I told him about this time, like, well, you know how it starts. You texting, and you in the car, and you over her house, her parents not home, whatever, right? And I told her, I was like, I had the condom on, getting ready to insert. I did. And I ran. I did. I'm telling you. And so, like, I was that convicted in that moment. And it's, most people would think, and I'm telling them this story, most people would think that it's too late. Yeah. And it's not too late. Even if you already halfway in, you stop. Because, okay, you stopped. You made the decision. You were convicted. You had that inner spirit man talking to you, and you listened to him. And she called me all types of names, said something bad about my name, said, you probably gay or something, like, because you don't like me. Like, nah. I tried to play it off, and the whole thing. But ultimately, it was like, I heard the Lord talking to me, like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Yep. Apply that.
Man, and there's so much, and I'm glad you said that, because to me, I'm a little raw too. Yeah. Because I truly believe there's so much power in testimony.
And I'll be the first one.
And you didn't that time, but like I'm sure there's 1,000 other things that had happened that were like I didn't stop. And
no,
like,
of course.
So then like here, let me tell y'all what happens when you don't. And like let me help you skip this step. Like it'll help you, right? So that's why you gotta be real. You gotta be relatable.
And you can't be sugarcoating it for these kids. Yeah. I mean, they have a phone that shows them everything.
That's just Joe from church. Yeah. And I'm like, nah, man, like, hey, we going to dinner and we going to talk. And
you're going to be intentional about donuts. So do something that's different than everybody else. Yeah. But everybody else like, why would he do that? Because it's what I'm doing. It's not what y'all doing. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so that's
good.
It's great.
It's good, man. Good question.
Last segment is the scripture. So at the end of each episode, I have a scripture that I do for my guests that is proprietary or it's just for you, right? Cool. I will never use the scripture again in the future, no Tact Talk, and I haven't used it before.
Cool,
this is just for Joe. Cool. All right. And I always tell people, if I ever run out of scriptures, and I'll just start over or something. I don't know. Like last episode, right? I'll be like in the beginning, So I came from what is this? Make sure I get it right. Is this Proverbs 27?
Proverbs
1 and 2. I come out of the English Standard Version. And it says, do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. Let another praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. Anyway, if you don't have any background.
Humility.
Yo, for real. So, and I feel like I didn't know we was going to talk about today. Usually I'm spot on. If I'm wrong every day of the week, I'm right with these scriptures. No. But I pray about it, and I said, hey, God, give me a scripture. So Proverbs just kept sticking out in my head. I was kind of in 1 Timothy as well, because 1 Timothy is kind of like where we're at, going out, doing the work, talking to people, right? Yeah. But I ended up in Proverbs because obviously, that's the man's, book of the Bible. But this one's kind of stuck out to me because you're super humble, right? Super humble, great guy, just in general. Don't need to talk to you for more than 10 minutes to understand. Like, I feel like people pick up on vibes just like babies or puppies do. When you notice, Yeah. Talk about making deals over lunch or something, right? Yeah. They just that investor or whatever, or that person signing with you just needs to get that feeling. All right, let's go. And that's how most big deals are made.
That's how business. That's how you should treat people. That's how business is done. I mean,
how are you treating the waitress, or did you tip? Just little simple things, right? But I see that in you, man. And obviously, I'll explain it. I'll give you opportunity to kind of put your piece on it, and we'll be out of here. But I said, do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. So you don't. And I had to learn that too, because like I'm thinking I'm being positive, but that turned into like, I guess, being too cocky or something in certain situations, because I'm just speaking and not doing the work. Yeah, I'm good. I'm hot stuff. Da da da. But I'm not doing the work to back that up. I'm not being Kobe. Rest in peace, right? Hey, people, you can talk about me all you want about not passing the ball. Even if we lost, I still did my part. I put up 80, whatever, right?
Right.
But he said, let another praise you and not out of your own mouth. And I think that's kind of hard for people, but I don't think you had that problem. You might have had it before. And I'm praising you.
100% before,
right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's so, man, dude. Got timing. This is all so spot on, man, because like, so this, I was telling you earlier that it's called 8% Nation Wealth Conference.
Okay.
It's called 8% because 92% of insurance agents fail within their first 2 years.
I get that.
So it's like, that's what the whole thing is. And it's like this whole wealth conference. Well, last month we went to this thing called it's the Power Players Retreat is what it was.
Was that the hangout things you were doing?
That's my thing. That's my own networking. This was like, we paid like $5,000 to go to this thing. And it's literally just in a room with power players. When I say power players, like straight up millionaires, homies making 6 figures a month, like revenue, like expenses paid, right? I mean, it's So again, I'm just trying to level up this whole time, right? But you got to stay humble when you're doing that. And then it happens. And when you do it the right way and you stay humble, you swallow that pride or your ego, let that sit in the back and just be good, like do good, right? And there's I know that's so broad.
It's one of the hardest things to do.
We get into this thing and we present the House of Dreams, and every single person, yo, dude, how old are you?
Yeah.
Like what? Wait, what is y'all's name?
Yeah.
So now we're going. We got VIP tickets to this wealth conference. We're plugged in with over half the speakers, and like now I'm gonna do consulting with the dude who runs the whole conference because he believes in me and he just wants me to. He's like, dude, I just love your and I don't offer this to anybody. But I will be your personal business consultant, right? And the dude makes millions and millions of dollars a year. Like, I'll be your consultant for a year. He's like, I think you guys are ready.
I think you got it.
And it's like, man, when you hear that, right?
But then it's like, oh,
whoa, let's stay humble, right?
Yeah,
the only reason I'm even in the room.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll smell your roses, and then like get back to work, because that's how it happens. And so now Pops is literally getting to speak on stage at this conference next week.
That's this week. Oh yeah, that's why.
So next week in Dallas, at the 5-star hotel, the Statler.
Good for him.
He's gonna be. I mean, Redwood's getting on the map outside of social media, right? Like, I mean, I'm everywhere on Facebook and stuff, but it's like, yo, like my dad has the opportunity to because also we're business partners, right? It's not just me. I don't do any of it without him.
That's good.
Right? And it's like that. I love that, and it's the family, the legacy that all builds in, right? That's like, yo, dude, this was his last go. I mean, man's just, he was making 6 figures in corporate. He's like, man, I'm getting close to retirement. Like, and I'm going to go just start a scratch independent agency in a new state. Like, we were up in St. Louis, moved to Texas.
Okay.
And what do you know, man? Hey, yo, a little bit over 2 years passed, man. And like now you're on a stage talking in front of like thousands of freaking agents.
Now you're living. Now you're what God wants you to be.
We're here.
That's huge.
It's huge, man. It's like, I mean, and I love it, dude, because everything you've said, I mean, it's all about that why. Why am I doing it?
Yeah.
But it's also, man, it's like, dude, like you just got to stay humble. And the good things will come if you do the right things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you get what you put in, right? And I'm a huge believer in what goes around, comes around, all that.
And that's another thing too. I always tell people, we talk about coming back to God for ourselves. It had to make sense to me, like, in the world, I say all I know is when I tithe, I got money.
Yeah.
When I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I, what I'm saying? So like, and I did not just tie them together, but it had to make sense to me because like, man, a lot of things that I know to be true, just morally in general, like directly coincide. Like God wants me to be this dope person, but He's adding that supernatural to my already works and making me doper.
Yeah. Well, you know what's crazy about that is like some people view God as so spiritual and not necessarily the physical piece of it. Like, I swear, if I'm broke and I tithe, man, I get that tithe back like times 10, like within like 3 days of doing it. And I'm like, That's why. I mean, literally. And
that's why he says, try me.
Things like that happen. Like, it's straight evidence, bro. Like, I just sold, $100,000 account, like, and I was broke, and now
you good.
That's the best month I've had whatever it is, right? It's like, boom. And I love that, man. Like, but you have to not only accept the challenge, but then complete it. It doesn't, hey, just because I get to the Tide box, or whatever it is, or to the app, like, if I don't ever actually drop the envelope, like,
press in.
But then what you do is like, oh, hey, there you go. Thank you for
But that's the hump where we're at right now. It's just
Mm-hmm.
being consistent. People are like, he's so consistent with the episodes. Like, it's cool. I am. It's hard, but it's your spiritual walk, your consistency. And then even when you do fall in whatever area, it's how did you fall?
Yeah. Fall forward.
Fall
often, fall forward. Will
correct.
Smith.
Yeah, there you go. And so I think like people, put they put their spiritual walk on the pedal. So like, man, if I just mess up one time, like I'm done. No, God know you're gonna mess up. But it's like
He already knows everything you're gonna mess up until you die.
But did you keep going? Did you keep okay, cool, I messed up, God, I'm repenting, whatever, right? And did you keep living for me, or did you just give up and say this is too hard?
Yeah.
Nothing's worth heaven, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
But I think about it like that, and to go on like, I guess I'm not sure how you were. I was raised in a Baptist church, but they were just preaching fire and brimstone for like ever. You going to hell, you have sex, you going to hell, Yeah. You don't. Because speaking of, I had a thought like maybe like 20 minutes ago. I forgot what we were talking about. I wanted to mention though, like I got my first tattoo when my parents went on a cruise. I was 17. Talk about being a rebel. That's what it was. They were on a cruise, man, for a week.
I'm wearing long sleeves for a week.
All right. I thought, they saw it. My mama saw it as soon as she walked in.
Yeah.
I don't even think I hid it. No, because I think it was hurting too bad.
Yeah.
It was this sword. So it was like the whole sword piece. But I went and I thought I had my exit strategy. I was like, the worst case, he put me out, I'm just gonna go live with my friend down the street.
Got a couch.
I had my whole plan, but they was chill about it, and they was like, it's your body, whatever. They took it way better. But I got them when they was tired. So they didn't even have time to like,
the cruise,
care about it. They was like off the plane, I was just like, okay, cool, I'm good. But all right, so any last words for the people out there, bro? The No Tact Talk world.
Man, dude, I just say, and I say this is this is Coach Kampert right here.
Hey.
Right? And I always say this to all my kids. I say it to anybody, and you can really directly translate it to anything that you're doing in life. Whether it's if you're trying to overcome something, if you're trying to start something new, if you're trying to change something, whatever it is, whatever you're working on, it's like just always run through the line. That's what I tell them. Like, hey, when you're running sprints, right?
Yeah.
Like that extra little, that is what separates you. That is what brings blessings. That is what brings, all the good stuff, man. It's like I always tell them, just run through the line. Don't ever walk up to it. Don't ever, just always push yourself to open up that next level, but you're keeping your humility within that. So, yeah, run through the line. That's what I'm gonna end with.
That's my podcast title.
Yes, sir.
Look at that.
Yes, sir.
This has been another edition of the No Tact Talk podcast. It's always a reminder to live life on purpose and live with a little no tact in your life. Peace.